Hi, and welcome to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. Today is Friday, July the 11th, 2025, and we're glad that you're with us.
And that we get to continue this awesome conversation that's been going on for 15 years now. One of the thoughts I want to reiterate today is the importance of truth to healing. If we don't know the truth, healing can't happen, because all healing requires the energy of truth in order to express. All disease, I would offer, is a result of falling out of harmony with the truth of who we are. And when we do that, because it tends to be painful, what we do is we hide from ourselves, we refuse to look at, we deny and dissociate from the energy of the lie that is the cause of our pain. So I want to come from a different perspective today in looking at a take from a medical doctor, actually, a gentleman named Dr. John Sarno. John was a researcher at the University of Buffalo for decades, back surgeon. Interestingly enough, Dr. Sarno stopped doing back surgeries, I don't even know how many years, but years before he finally passed away in his 90s. And he brought forward a whole understanding of human physiology that sadly most of the medical profession just totally denies. I mean, here's a guy, you can watch his video. Actually, if you jump on Amazon, I think it's $5.99 to watch the video, Saved by Sarno. Actually, that's not the right title. It's All the Rage, Saved by Sarno, S-A-R-N-O. $6. It'd be some of the best $6 you've ever spent. By the way, I made an error on that. It wasn't University of Buffalo, it's New York University. And what Sarno did was taught people to heal their pain by recognizing that the tension held in their minds caused by what he classified as rage, fear, and anxiety, tightened muscles, totally completely caused by the mind, but tightened muscles that restricted blood flow. And according to Dr. Sarno, just a mild deprivation of oxygen in the cell, like as little as 5%, leaves the cell in excruciating pain. Now, I've watched at least 3 people with extreme, like I'm talking about bedridden kind of pain, who while they were watching Dr. Sarno's video, All the Rage, Saved by Sarno, totally and completely got rid of their pain. I mean, I'm talking about people who couldn't get out of bed, had to crawl in the morning, every morning to get to the bathroom. So people with long-term debilitating pain, after years of suffering, are walking away from their suffering because they touched into the truth. Now, his thesis is that the stress of emotions, dissociated, denied emotions, create this constriction of blood flow, and that restriction of blood flow is what creates the pain. He calls it Tension Myositis Syndrome. So how do you free up the tension? I suggest you watch his video and recognize that forgiveness is working within the context of the truth of how the human energy system works, not all the BS, not all the belief systems that we've been fed about the cause of disease and the cause of healing. You know, the truth is the body, your body, my body, is a cosmic soup of neuropeptides. And lab research shows that Those neuropeptides are reflections of condensed thoughts. Think a thought, and a neuropeptide appears in your body. These neuropeptides are proteins, each a unique structure, a reflection of and built according to the blueprint created by your thoughts. Each neuropeptide is designed to carry a message it contains into the cell and directs the cell's function accordingly. They are the mechanism by which individual cells, which have no other apparent means of contact with the outside world, are informed about the world, or are informed by our perceptions, accurate or inaccurate, about the world generated from our minds from the past, and put in front of the actual world, the truth of the world. So each neuropeptide is a direct reflection of the quality of our thoughts, and each communicates and inserts energy, a message, into the cell. The message received deeply impacts every activity of that cell, including changing the action of and the rewriting of our genes. Now, this mechanism of cellular communication was originally designed to inform the cell about the actual world. But a relatively new skill called perception, constructs made by our own minds, interrupts that process by inserting, in the place of direct contact with the actuality, an artificial construct, a made-up world that is a projection of unresolved past experiences held in body memory and constructed using past thoughts of those memories. Instead of awareness based in truth and love being at the root of perception, most perceptual constructs are formed from content acquired in the past. These perceptual constructs appear to be current, present moment experiences to the mind, which can't tell the difference between an accurate or an hallucinated reality. Fear and or hostility are markers that indicate the current perception is being formed from the past and therefore is not the truth. A thought from the past, massaged into appearing as a present moment experience, it's always a lie and just an appearance. You'll remember there was a guy 2,000 years ago that warned, don't judge by appearances. When these constructs get between us and the actuality of the world, between us and those we cherish, the result in our lives can be devastating. Or with the tools, these experiences can be the opportunity for monumental healing. Literally a chance to forgive, to undo and dismantle generations of inherited unresolved traumas. Now, if you want to get a deeper look at that, go to our website. Unfortunately, our book is out of print. I can't sell you a copy, although we do have it on CD, read by myself and an actor who played the part of the character Richard. But you can go to our website, whyagain.org/book. And there are, I think, 9 different translations. You're welcome to download it free. The book is about building an understanding of the dynamic process of constructed perception and changing the content of our own minds. It's interesting. The CIA, after spending I don't know how many millions of research on human intelligence, one of the chapters in the book is on perception, and they're looking to get the best intelligence from their analysts, and here's what they say. Perception is demonstrably an active rather than a passive process. It constructs rather than records reality. People continuously construct their own version of reality. If you construct your own version of reality out of some past trauma held in tissue, your tissue is diseased and your perception will be diseased. Your way of viewing the world will be based on a fraud, on a projection from the past. Now, my offering is life abhors us, holding on to and hiding disease energies from ourselves. Life is designed to bring up. Life is designed to bring us someone who's going to show us the disease energies we hold. And you'll notice life is relentless. It's always going to do that. But when we blame them for what's moving in us, then we're in denial and unknowingly doing to ourselves with our own minds, generating the energies that create our diseases. And we build a false world that's painted on the inside of our eyeballs called perception. And the picture we see, we really believe, and it's nothing but a construct from data stored in the mind, unresolved from the past. And you can tell that that's what's going on if there's even the slightest tinge of any form of hostility or fear going on. It's we who convert these past unresolved energies into images of someone else, false pictures, reflections of disease energies in our own tissue structure. And that whole process is directed by errors in our own mind. And they, the person we're currently blaming, show up as a picture inside of our minds with our problem attached. Now, the way to tell whether or not that's true is just to notice, although you can play this game of talking about forever them, you'll notice that you're the one who's feeling the disease process. The person who feels hatred feels it because they're a container for hate. Another is the object of the hatred and is blamed by the hater for the presence of the hate. But one cannot avoid the conclusion that the hatred or any other emotion is an internal experience. How do you tell whether or not something you experience is yours or not? Are you experiencing it? If you are, then it's yours. Where's the place where the hatred can be changed? Only in the container it's stored in. Hatred always does more damage to the container in which it's stored than to the one upon whom it is poured. The process of forming unconscious perceptions leaves us believing the fallacy that as we look at the pictures and projections generated by our brains, that our eyes are actually showing us something outside of us. Codependence and denial is the belief that someone or something else is responsible for what you're doing to yourself with your own mind. And perception is structure. This is the point that Dr. Sarno brings across. Perception is structure. No one can cause you to feel anything that isn't in you already. Nothing could be further from the truth than the belief that others cause you to feel, that others are responsible for the energy that's moving in you. This errant conclusion leaves us stuck in the belief that our why is this happening to me again and again and again experience are forced on us from the outside, when the truth is, the world of pain perceptions is totally internal, self-generated, self-imposed, a whole world imposed on us from the inside, but painted to look like it's on the outside. This self-imposed world which, without having and applying the tools to change the content of one's own mind, seems impossible to escape. And it's usually based on generations of errant perception, generations of unresolved pain. Let's look at the totally different perspective than the one taught by the world of blame. When we feel pain without being touched, that pain is often a generational experience that's up for healing. And as you free yourself from the capacity to generate any kind of internal pain, you'll be opening the space to free your generations and ultimately the entire world. For each person willing to go to this level of healing, we hold in the deepest way possible the space for you to come out the other side of this experience with a whole new level of serenity, a whole new level of aliveness that is beyond the understanding of the world. The serenity that passes all understanding. The mechanism underlying the process of generating perception is one where neuropeptides circulate and find cells for which they have an affinity and attach to the cell's receptor site. Landing on those cells, they insert themselves, appearing inside the cell as so-called chemistry. These information carriers are designed to inform the cell about the actual world or communicate about internal conditions and needs. Sadly, this process has, for most, been compromised by errant perception. Much of the cellular communication process has been a rehash of unresolved associated traumas from the past, often arising from generational patterns carried from generation to generation in the genes. You remember to get out of the desert in that ancient metaphor of the Jews wandering in the desert? What had to happen? The old generation had to die off. That didn't mean everybody in old physical bodies had to physically die. The root of the word generation is genari. It means cause. All of the causes held in the mind. All of the unresolved energetic patterns that turn up as pictures in our minds that we believe. And it's interesting, as I pointed out the other day, in the lab, they've measured events compared to when the mind forms its perception. And the mind is always 200 to 500 thousandths of a second behind the actual experience. So most perception, though it appears to be an actual present moment experience, is nothing but an echo of the past, the unresolved past. Understanding that unresolved generational issues are passed along in one's lineage, I suspect is what led Henry David Thoreau to write in 1854, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. From the desperate city you go to the desperate country and have to console yourself with the bravery of minks and muskrats." In other words, people they anesthetize themselves with the chemistry of killing things. War, same thing. A stereotype that unconscious despair is concealed even under what are called the games and amusements of mankind. But then what Thoreau says is, it is a characteristic of wisdom not to do desperate things. So Dr. Sarno, and what I'd like to do is share, he's got a list of 12 reminders that he suggests you start to make part of your day. And so what I'd like to do is share with you his 12 daily reminders. And this can be a great adjunct to the forgiveness process. You can do a search for any of the key words here and put in 12 daily reminders, and there's actually an MP3 that you can download and listen to these reminders in Sarno's own voice. Coming from the source is powerful. So here are his reminders. My pain is due to TMS. What is TMS? TMS is Tension Myositis Syndrome. When I dissociate from a thought disorder, it creates an emotion in my tissue structure. When I refuse to deal with that tissue structure, or what's stored in that tissue structure, I should say, then I hide that in the tissue. The tissue that it's hidden in tightens up. The musculature tightens, and that tightening restricts the blood vessels associated with those muscles. And the blood vessels that have been restricted, whatever their target cells are, there is a reduced flow of blood and therefore a reduced delivery of oxygen. Mild oxygen deprivation is pain. Now, this is 100%, he's acknowledging, is caused by the mind, but it's 100% physical. He's not saying that it's all in your mind. No, it's in your body. It's interesting that we live in a world that's separated the body from the mind and the mind from the body, but you can't take the head off a coin. You can't take the mind out of the body or the body away from the mind. What happens in one happens in the other. So his reminder goes on and says, this is real pain or anxiety, but it's caused by unconscious tensions and triggers, stresses and traits to your reactions and fears, and also when at boiling point, your conscious tension can also cause, and does cause, real pain. The main reason for the pain is mild oxygen deprivation. This means that when you get in pain or in anxiety, then the blood is restricted from going to your lower back. Of course, that was his focal point, was the back. And he has the best definition of back pain that I've ever heard of. And as a medical doctor, he says back pain is unconscious rage. The blood being restricted causes oxygen deprivation, which causes pain. Remember, he says, where there is no oxygen, there is pain in the body. Also, the pain stays because of fear and the focus to physical organic symptoms and repressions. TMS, Tension Myositis Syndrome, is a harmless condition caused by my own dissociated emotions. So even though you think you can harm yourself from the years of pain you felt and how you feel in general, so far no reports, he says, have been heard from understanding TMS as healing knowledge, causing damage to anyone. He says it only helps. The principal emotion is your dissociated anger. This means under your consciousness lies something that happens automatically to everyone. Those with tension myositis syndrome have repressions that are stored because of our personality traits, our traumas, stressors, fears, strain, etc. When these stored repressions build and build, they eventually cause the brain to send pain into your body to keep you from having an emotional crisis. In other words, to keep the emotional trauma hidden, pain becomes the overriding energy generated by the mind to keep hidden what you've denied and dissociated from. So TMS exists to distract your attention from the emotions, stressors, tensions, and strains of your personality traits. Because if you can get a distraction, then you won't have to deal with or be in emotional turmoil. When you don't face and feel your emotions, and they get lost, locked down, dissociated, because you don't want to deal with something, they're just adding up in this beaker. He refers to the body as a beaker, a container, ready to pour over and create real pain and anxiety in the body. So again, he suggests here's the next reminder that you give to yourself: since my body is perfectly normal, there is nothing to fear. Sarno, as a medical doctor, when someone comes in with pain, he'd go through first, he'd do the x-rays and the MRIs and all that, and determine if there was a structural anomaly, then he'd address that. But what he says is he's looked at hundreds of backs that are perfectly normal and have extreme pain. And he's looked at hundreds of backs that are very distorted but have no pain. In most cases, and I don't know if he has a number, I would suspect 95+%, there is no structural anomaly behind the pain. It's this, I'm hiding my emotional turmoil, which is creating tension in the tissue, restricting blood flow, creating a deprivation of oxygen. And what he says is a 5% deprivation of oxygen, and you've got excruciating pain. So we suggest you remind yourself on a daily basis. These are his 12 daily reminders. Since my body is perfectly normal, there's nothing to fear. So in reality, when I fear the pain or anxiety, I just cause myself undue strain and tension, adding to the beaker of pain. If I feel fear, then I feed the pain. If I fear, it is impossible to heal, or recondition, he calls it. Fear keeps the pain and anxiety alive in the body through focus. Therefore, physical activity, he says, now you start reminding yourself, therefore physical activity is harmless. If I want to work against the pain, I could, but it's better to lose some of the pain when I start my life over. I have to be in pain trying to heal, because facing the repressions and all other activities that cause the pain and reversing my fear and focus to them is when I can heal. So I'm resuming all normal physical activity. Don't fear moving anymore, he says. Remind yourself, I believe in my body's ability to heal now. I can now move how I want. I will let go of fear of moving with a bent back. I will practice going out and acting normal again, for in fear of what pain might do to me, I continue the process of pain. I will keep my attention on my emotional issues. I will think about my emotions and feel my emotions throughout the day. I will not judge, criticize, or fear my emotions. I will not run from my emotional issues, but face every one of them. I will feel my emotions fully and cry if I need to. Then I release the emotion and get my mind and thoughts back to my life and living in the presence, in flow. I'm in control of all this, he says. This is how I recover. I will be thinking psychologically at all times. This means I will keep my thoughts on psychological issues like happiness, fear, or anger, traits and triggers, conditioning, and journaling. The science behind body, mind, TMS, and healing will be my focus. This way, I will not feed thoughts to the body. That's the trick of TMS. TMS will always try to get me to focus on the body and pretend the cause of the body pain is the body itself until I break this show and flare. In other words, until I let go of this lie. When I get my attention off psychical symptoms and on emotional issues and psychological issues, then I will not feed the fear of physical issues anymore, thus making TMS of no effect. This, in return, will give me the healing. So there are Dr. Sarno's 12 reminders. Again, I suggest you watch his film. It's powerful. Powerful insight, fits perfectly. And as you're thinking, as he's suggesting, that you make a strong focus rather than on your pain, or rather on, how I can't move, I can't do this, I can't do that because I've got a body that's in pain, but I focus on, I've got some anger going on here, I've got some sadness, I've got some fear. And as I wake up to the truth that I'm doing this to myself, because those fear-based thoughts tighten muscles, tight muscles restrict circulation, a 5% lack of oxygen leaves my tissue structure in excruciating pain. I need to soften into my own tissue structure. I need to breathe into my own tissue structure. And when I do, I will clear the debris out of the cell, the neuropeptides that never belonged. And I'd offer that will be the best definition of forgiveness and healing that you'll ever find. Becoming aware of who we are is really key to the whole process. And it may be more correct to say that we are awareness rather than energy.
Yeah, I mean, pickles or tomato. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one because of just maybe the biases that I've created or the beliefs that I have. I just think that what's important about what you're saying is that there's that organic, or there's that birth, whether you want to call it birth or synergy, or that's when I recognize I have changed my mind, and I am
That's the intelligence.
Yeah, I am embracing the being of the moment and not embracing non-being. It's all a feeling, though, I think. And
it all reflects his feelings.
Well, now we're
That's our feedback mechanism.
Right.
Tells you when you're on base or off base.
Right. So there's a calibration that has to be done, or that has to be at least, what's the right word? Vigilant. I have to be vigilant um, towards my kingdom, as the Course would put it, or God's
Yeah.
kingdom.
Right. And you put into that what Sarno was just saying, that I'm going to discipline myself to think psychologically, emotionally, rather than out of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And as we do that, we become aware of what it is that we've organized in our physiology that doesn't belong.
There it is. Thank you.
Yeah, it's powerful. Yay.
Yeah. Yay. So
And when you
November.
talk about that word flow,
Yeah.
whatever is out of alignment doesn't flow. And
Yeah.
whatever's out of alignment distorts our perception, the way we generate the constructs of how we see the world, and it reflects in physiology as disease conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're in coherence, when we're in vibrational coherence, and that's a result of being in alignment, that the core antenna of the structure, which is the bony structure of the head, the spine, and the pelvis, when that antenna is in alignment, then the energies that come into our system are coherent. The energies we draw in are put together and assembled in a coherent manner.
Lack of distortion.
Wilhelm Reich, I just came across a quote he offered, and he says, "What becomes hardened in the body becomes hardened in destiny. And what becomes hardened in the body is what has become hardened in the mind."
And there again, I can change my mind at any time. It's mine.
Exactly.
That
I
is,
can forgive.
Yeah, that's my my fulcrum, my altar. I can change my mind.
Yeah. Exactly.
Egg salad.
So this skull, this bony structure we call the core of our body, is literally, it's the key to prayer. When you look at the Aramaic word prayer has got nothing to do with putting one's order into the cosmic gift catalog, but rather the word means to set a trap for God. How do you trap? How do you capture the presence of love, which is the Aramaic meaning of the word prayer? If I have the right shape of antenna on the roof of my house and it's oriented properly, then I'm going to capture the signal with that bony structure, with that antenna, and it'll feed that signal to my TV, and I'm going to have a perfect picture and sound.
Yep.
Well, when we're physically or emotionally traumatized, that antenna is thrown out of alignment, and all of a sudden we can't capture what we're designed to bring in.
Mm-hmm.
And so part and parcel, that's you remember in the Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive, we do the energy field work, then go to the quantum still point. That's all about mobilizing the antenna so that it comes into a proper range of motion. The whole structure is in continuous motion, and when it comes back into a proper range of range of motion, then it naturally brings in or captures the energies that it's designed to capture.
Amen.
And a woman.
What's fascinating to me is the discussion itself, or the idea of tuning, and tuning my antenna and understanding that the calibration can be distorted. And really, it's always only distorted by me. And to that end, calibrated by me primarily, or with the change of mind. To look at it, say, wait, this dis-ease, dysfunction that I'm experiencing, breathe. I choose again. I'm not going to facilitate this energy. There's no fruit in it. So I don't. Make sense?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's where it goes.
Yeah.
Coming back into alignment and consciously bringing together the energies that we choose to engage.
The energies which we choose to engage.
That's
so
it.
It's this notion of the ingestion or the consumption of the energy that I want or that I desire or that I choose to engage with the breath. And the breath becomes a signal and or part of the calibration process to remind myself to breathe and to calibrate as quickly as I want to through the breath. If I want to go, if I understand this is something that I've experienced a tremendous amount of times, then I can take more deeper breaths. If it's something new and I realize, wow. I would also say, Michael, that this repeatability thing that our consciousness really, the ego consciousness anyway, or consciousness really enjoys the familiarity of the past and going over something over and over.
Familial.
Huh?
Familial. Family.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Power
Yeah.
person dynamic. That's the most familiar thing there is when people are under stress, is to do whatever the power person did that we hated the most. That's why it's so important to face that and forgive the energy behind that. Remove it.
Good point. Yeah. Thank you.
Honored and delighted. Great conversation. Great. I can sure tell you've been really pondering it and moving with it.
Well, it's interesting because it's reached a point where I had a conversation with a gentleman earlier today, and it was, I'm experiencing pins and needles all over my body, and he's working towards figuring out what he's eating. And I was conscious enough to also share with him to say, it's also you've reached a level of vitality. His name is Ryan. Ryan, you've reached a level of vitality where this is coming up for you and you're able to look at it and work towards the resolution of it or the forgiveness of the energy. And it was again, for me, that there it is, teach love or teach what you want to learn. And there it is.
Exactly. There's an interesting quote, goes way back in Isaiah. And here's the Creator speaking to humans and says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways." And when we realign, my take is we become the space that captures then that presence, and my thoughts do become or come out of the Creator's mind, which has been called the mind of Christ, rather than out of my body's mind, the mind of the generations.
That was another question that came up for me yesterday, is sometimes when I'm talking to you, it's not you that I'm hearing. It's guidance, or it's
That's the idea.
there's some type of like I said, guidance is a good word, but it's like sometimes I feel like saying, Michael, Is that you? Because and I do it too. I'll say something and I'll think, wow, that was just like I said with Ryan, where I was conscious enough to express to Ryan, hey, don't forget that your healing is bringing in a new level of vitality, of energy, because you're coming aware of it, or you're recognizing it and taking a look at it. That's one of the nice things. Is he said, yeah, he said his children are benefiting from it. So, where have I heard
That's the
that?
idea. The best thing you'd be is a good ancestor.
Yeah. Fabulous. That's all for me. I mean, anybody else out there?
No, it's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for your contemplating and your insight and your movement. That's what opens the game. Inertia-bound minds of men cannot grasp, and it takes constant engagement to bring about the shift, because this database that makes up what we call the mind of men is so huge. It's so stuck in inertia.
Oh yeah. Wow.
And it's difficult for one who's moving a particular direction at a particular rate of speed to align with and capture truth when truth's going in the other direction.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's a deep.
It's like you've got to inhabit truth.
Yeah. You need to walk the walk. Yeah.
And until the truth is known, there's no freedom. There's no liberty. Here's the quote. Max Planck. This is what I was thinking of. I just found it. Here's Max Planck's quote. In all my research, I have never come across matter. To me, the term matter implies a bundle of energy which is given form by an intelligent spirit. As a man who's devoted his whole life to the most clear-headed science, to the study of matter, I can tell you, as a result of my research about atoms, this much. There is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particles of an atom into vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. We must assume behind this force is the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter.
Not to be feared, not to be one to be observed, to be the observer.
It's life. Yeah.
Yeah. To be observant of that and understand it's okay to look at that.
Yeah.
And it's okay to it's okay to feel disturbed. It's okay to feel upset and not understand
Embrace
why.
it.
Yeah. And that's where, again, I think I'm at that point where it's a lot of asking for guidance, but knowing the guidance that there's a couple things going on. If I'm asking for guidance, okay, fine. But the challenge is that at that moment, the guidance could be an ease of, I could be in the flow. And now I don't want to get involved with right or wrong. What I want to get involved with is just go with it. Because the 5 minutes from now or 5 days from now, I look at the same thing differently. And that's a challenge. That's
making
a challenge.
quantum leaps.
Yeah.
Well, when you're ready, the shifts occur.
Yeah.
They're just, monumental. And you look at that whole, you take that back, you listen to Max Planck's statement, you listen to what you just said, what you're getting about what you're doing with your mind and your thoughts. And then you go to the opening words in the book of John, and 2,000 years ago, what do we hear? In the beginning was the mind energy, and the mind energy became flesh.
Right.
And if we keep looking at the flesh, and the flesh is a result of errant mind energy. We keep functioning out of what was called the mind of man. Then we keep repeating, then we get to write the book. Why is this happening to me again?
Exactly. Yeah.
But when I'm willing to forgive as to that energy, to remove it, then I can align, and literally that intuitive faculty will bring in what's next in my life, what's next in my work, what's next in my world.
Well, and that's your point yesterday to me was don't make it about Joe. The forgiveness is about the energy. Because if I make it about Joe, then I'm back into form. I'm in the body.
Right.
Hmm.
That insight is what makes us conscious co-creators, or should I say, the ability to truly engage that insight.
Yeah. The willingness to watch it appear, to watch it come and watch it go, or not. Forget the time, forget the go. Just to watch it unfold.
Pretty awesome, isn't it? I mean, to have a human life is like, wow.
Yeah. To have one, yes, to assist in the growth of others, and there it is, to have all, give all. So
Yeah.
That's how important you are. That's how important everyone else is to me. The willingness that I have to give all, because it isn't, again, it's that we're not transitioning into possessions and material things. It's this notion of the energy, forgiveness, and or recognition. To if someone's where they're at, then just let them be. You can bring the horse to water, but they don't have to drink if they don't want to. It's not up to me.
Yeah, but you can help make them thirsty. Another quote from Carl Jung comes in here, and his insight into, what the piece of work you've just done. He speaks of when he says this: the healer, teacher, is not just working for a particular patient, but for himself or herself as well as his or her own soul.
Yeah.
And in so doing is perhaps laying an infinitesimal grain in the scales of humanity's soul. Small and invisible as this contribution may be, it is yet an opus magnum.
Amen.
Yeah. Have you seen the film Mr. Holland's Opus?
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome, isn't it? That's
Yep.
And he didn't even know he was writing it.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet, pretty cool.
Another Temple Grandin.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
That's a real good movie in terms of.
She's pretty amazing.
Yeah, just someone who thinks differently. Not wrongly or rightly, just that's the way she thinks. Okay. Interesting. So.
I'll join you in that breath.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Blessings.
Yeah.
How's everybody else doing? Hope that conversation was fitting for everyone. It sure was for me. But how's everybody else doing? Melissa, Sally, Susan, any thoughts? Doug, Cammy? Push that mute button. Unmute and say hello. Go for it, Sally.
Hello, hello. It is
Hey,
so
young
good.
lady.
Oh my goodness. It is so good to listen to two men growing together and talking at this level. Before I got on the call, I'm always taking care of my very elderly mom. And my
Right.
mom, earlier today, about an hour and a half ago, she looked me straight in the eye the way 92-year-olds can do.
Uh-huh.
And, she looked right through me and she said, I need some good material on anger management.
Whoa.
And so I looked straight in her eye and I said, I will do my best to supply. Can you tell me more? And she started the next sentence with, your brother has a problem. She said, every day there are at least 5 to 10 experiences where he meets me with anger. And it
Mm,
could be, and then she pointed out examples like yesterday, she was sweeping leaves off the deck and he was mad at her for moving a chair or something like that. And then she today decided to cook something and she, she's a Texan, all right? She comes from ranchers. When she's something she wants to do, she's much more mindful, much more cautious, but she will move forward and say, how can I do this? So
right.
any time she is breaking one of my brother's rules and demands for her behavior, he responds with anger at her. And she is so tired and the dance they do is she becomes quiet and complacent and pretty much does what he wants her to do because she just wants his anger to go away. And this
Right.
dance has been going on for decades.
Yep.
And but increasingly getting worse and worse, where she doesn't know when she's going to be breaking one of his demands and she's just living her life. And so she looks forward to him not being around.
Right.
Anyway, long and short of it, number one, I'm asking for any material that comes to your mind or anyone on the call that could be useful to a person that's done. He suffers from a disease of perception. He is um, has been throughout his life an active and very reckless alcoholic. He hasn't done any of the program work that would help him to do an inventory or learn responsibility for any of that. None, zero zip. So we're talking about a person that is brand new at recognizing, the thing you just said about I can make you thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
He's been around me enough that there's a part of him that's growing in thirst for the peacefulness that I present. It is not about me. He just wants to have that particular ability to
Right.
have peace in his life. And so my mother and I both can sense his growing thirst for another way. Enough words from me. I do have some good material, but I thought, well, just while I'm on the call, put it out there. If anybody has any thoughts or books or movies, I love movies, that could help
Well,
with anger.
yeah. Well, the most important gift to me that you could give right now would not be to your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like he's pretty inertia bound and it might be a while before he wakes up.
Right.
But the gift you could give to your mother, I would
Mm-hmm.
offer would be to help her to recognize or just simply flat out share with her, Mom, he has never been angry with you. He
Mm.
was not angry with you yesterday. He was not angry with you today. He's just angry. It's got nothing to do with you, Mom. And you might walk her through a worksheet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even, I don't know if you've got the app on your phone, but maybe go through the Greg on Klingon game with her
Mm-hmm.
And because she's hooked into it. And that's her problem, not his.
Mm-hmm.
His problem is
Mm-hmm.
obviously, or at least if everything you're saying is accurate, his problem is he's got a lot of unconscious pain, and he's an addict. And
Mm-hmm.
probably his first drug of choice is hostility, and his second
Yes,
drug of choice is alcohol.
correct.
But mom's is, my offering would be over responsibility, like I'm to blame for this. And so I think pointing
Yeah.
out that, notice, Mom, that he can do it with me, or he can do it with the person on the phone, or he can do it with the politician on the other side of the world. He can throw that anger at anything. It's got nothing to do with you, Mom. And if she can let herself, in this case, this is where pardoning is very appropriate. If she can let herself off the hook and just stand in the space of, oh, okay, he's doing what he's doing, and it's about him, it's not about me, it will probably take a big load off of her.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
the question I would ask is, how was her relationship with your dad? Was Dad an angerholic and hostility addict?
Yes.
Yeah. So probably if she's receptive to that conversation, then going back and apply the same thing with her husband, with your
Okay.
dad. I assume he's not living now.
He's not. No.
So I would say going back with her and helping her to forgive, to cancel all the goals she held for him, to treat her decently, to, whatever that looks like, to let loose of that in her. And that may be enough that as she handles that in herself, so she forgives that energy in herself, there's no longer an invitation to keep the game going with her son
Okay. Got it. Got it.
energetically.
Got it. Yeah. And she is very ripe and ready for this shift. She's been in it so long. And so I think it was perfect that she asked me this right before our radio time today. So thank you. That
It's
is,
just awesome. I'm excited for her. I'm
you,
excited for you. And,
mm,
if she can handle that,
I
deal with
think she
that,
can.
that may be enough of an energy shift in the household for your brother to start to go, huh,
I agree.
maybe I need to really do something here.
I agree.
So
As soon
holding the
as you
space for
said,
that.
yeah, as soon as you said that of her just being able to stand in the space with no dance into trying to placate him,
Right.
that I realized that would be enough of a
Yeah.
shift to cause him to
Yeah.
recognize this
And
isn't working.
yeah. And she's not to blame. And again, it may go back to her relationship with your dad.
Yep.
It may go back, and she may have to do some work around her relationship with her father. Do you know anything about
Yeah.
her younger life with her dad as a power
Yeah.
person? Was he
I
an
don't
angry?
I don't know enough. I don't know enough. Um, he was a Methodist minister, and he seemed fairly peaceful on the surface. And she was born, like 14 years after her elder sister. So she kind of grew up in her own bubble.
Mm,
Um, so I haven't heard stories of hostility, but she definitely was bred to be the peacemaker. That whole uh, the woman who does whatever it takes to keep everyone happy. And
oh,
so she got this Mary Poppins complex.
yeah. I
And
could
she did.
imagine easily that with 14 years between her and her next oldest sibling,
Mm-hmm.
that there might be some resentment about the unexpected child that
Mm-hmm.
might
Mm-hmm.
also tie in. And if those things come up, if you're the space that just holds it for her to let that bubble up, then wow.
Yeah.
She can let go of
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely delighted. I'm looking forward to sharing November with you. That
I
you're
hope
going to be
to.
joining us for another intensive. That's awesome.
It is awesome. I've already called my cousins in West Virginia, said I'm coming through.
Ah, cool.
Make way, we're gonna connect. So I
Nice.
have some people that I'll get to see en route.
Very sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right. Well, holding the space for you and mom and your brother,
Thank
you
you.
know, that as you're there holding the space for him and your mom is able to perhaps let go of some of the energetic attachment that draws that from him, it may just be the opening he needs to
Mm-hmm.
get loose of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I love the principle in the Course in Miracles that says when you are healed, you are never healed alone.
Absolutely. It's
And that
it's
to recognize that each piece of work that we do is, it
for
ripples throughout
everyone.
the universe. Yeah, it is for everyone. Yeah.
It is amazing. I've been preaching that since I first started as a therapist 40 years ago. And I would always say, I don't know how this works. I can't yet explain how it works. I just know from every day of doing this work that it works.
The law of
And
resonance.
yeah, now I'm beginning to understand more and more how it works.
You know,
And go
go
ahead,
ahead.
you first.
I was just going to say the first 35 years of teaching first century Aramaic forgiveness, I never knew why. I could not explain. I can explain it very well now, but I could not explain why one would cancel a perfectly good goal. Why would I cancel a goal for somebody to cherish me or honor me or do it? Why would I do that? It makes no sense, but it works. And
Yes.
then it's about 20 years ago now that I finally, all the pieces came together. It's like, oh, okay. So perception is this tiny bit of information produced by my mind, driven by my goal. And if it's pained, then underneath it is that pained energy, that energy causing the pain. How do I
Mm-hmm.
get to that underlying energy that's in my unconscious? I cancel the goal. The pain perception collapses in on itself, and bingo, I've now got access. I've now made my unconscious conscious, and I free myself of it by doing so. It's like, you know, when I think about Yeshua putting that together 2,000 years ago, it's like so genius, so just amazingly powerful.
Thank
So,
God.
yay, yay, holding the space for your whole family.
Thank you.
All right, blessings. Take care.
Blessing.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's 2 o'clock already, fast hour. Appreciate you. Nice to hang out a little bit. Create the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift.